Penn State is just one fan base that has its share of passionate fans. Earlier this year, a San Francisco Giants fan was brutally beaten in Los Angeles, and 2 fans were shot in a parking lot for wearing an opposing team's jersey to a football game in California. Although these were extraneous cases, crowds are commonly unforgiving to visiting fans. Penn State student Kyle Ross says abusive fans became something to expect growing up near Philadelphia's Veterans Stadium.
There's a courthouse in the vet. The reason they did that was because there's so many instances where it's just people needed to be taken care of for acting out physically.
Penn State sports journalism professor Marie Harden says the media's constant portrayal of high-contact, violent sports permeates out onto the fans.
The hits and the fights in hockey are repeated, are analyzed, are glorified, and this all lends itself to a culture where we shouldn't be surprised at fan violence.
Harden says the combination of alcohol use and a crowd's common unity changes otherwise civilized behavior.
If you take them out of that crowd environment, they're going to tell you no, that certain types of behavior are not acceptable. But you put them in that kind of environment where they're in a crowd, all of those things combine, I think, to really impact people's behavior in what can be really negative ways.
Kyle Ross is also a photographer for La Vie, the Penn State yearbook, and says that by nature, the media is drawn to big hits on the field and unique dramatic events.
You kind of look for what's exciting. And the reason you want to see something dramatic is because it's something to report. So you kind of you want there to be some sort of outbreak in the crowd.
We all know, and media producers know, that violent imagery is much more dramatic and emotionally compelling than nonviolent imagery.
Here at Penn State, fans are rarely abusive, but there is no shortage of passion. When Alabama came to town this past September, many people created Facebook groups urging fans to be respectful of the fans from Tuscaloosa.
When you have to remind folks to be civil and to be nice to the visiting team and civil to visiting fans, what that implies is that you might be afraid that they wouldn't otherwise do so.
Ross says that although Penn State is mostly a melting pot of the most passionate fans in the Northeast, there is a different standard of what is expected of fans here.
The mindset here is that the inflection of what we do is on the university and not just on yourself.
The senior student admitted that there are strong emotional ties to sport that fanatics often feel.
If I'm to ask you about the game, you wouldn't say they, you wouldn't say the team, you say we. It's that concept of, when you have a shared reverence like in the victory. When your team wins, you feel a part of that.
We are! For ComRadio, I'm Dave Andrews.